Good morning and welcome to Gugolz Guest. Today I have with me Gareth Lewis, our Commercial Director. Just going to talk through the market a little bit today, understanding our Biotele product and just a bit about kind of where we're going. The last few months have been slightly unsettled, to say the least. How would you say M2 Finance navigating everything at the moment?
I think we're being reflective on the moment. So we're looking at things from a day-to-day basis and a week-to-week basis to see where, twofold, to look at where we are currently, what's the appetite from the marketplace, look at the interest rate environment and the impacts of that, and our lending now and forecasting for the future as well. I think you'd be foolish to not look into where the next 12 months to 24 months are going to take us from both an interest rate environment perspective and also opportunity.
And do you think you have an idea, or what would your prediction be on how long you think it might take to actually settle down a little bit?
If I had a crystal ball and a betting man, look, I think the reality is, I think what happened through the mini budget heightened things very, very quickly, and the reaction from the capital markets pushed everything to the forefront of what was happening. I think in reality, you're probably looking 24 months before we start to see some kind of settled pattern. I'd like to hope it'd be sooner, but a lot of that's outside of our control.
Absolutely. And what would you say the biggest challenges are to the whole of the specialist lending industry at the moment, not just ourselves?
Look, the reality is the issues that we face are it's something that I talk about quite a lot. It's unstable. We're in a very unstable environment where everything's changing from a day-to-day basis. Swap rates and capital markets are very volatile. The mini budget, as I said earlier, sort of heightened the impact and sort of accelerated that quite considerably, which could be construed as a positive thing as well as a negative thing. I think, whilst there is that unstable environment, I think it causes a huge amount of disruption. Price, affordability, that's a big thing at this moment in time. Hence why we're talking a lot about 2-year bridging when it comes to the non-regulated and buy-to-let environment. Because ultimately, as you bake in pricing on the buy-to-let side of the world at this moment in time, it becomes unmanageable from affordability perspective.
Obviously, we're always here to support our brokers, but how would you say we're doing anything differently at the moment or more to support our brokers in the current climate?
Look, we've always supported our brokers well. There's what happened over the last week and a half to 2 weeks reminded me a lot about the pandemic and when we came out of that first lockdown or during that first lockdown even.
Busy few months.
But also where the market started to pull away from its broker and its community and make some changes to product and offerings and risk. And we're now seeing it at this moment in time where people are coming to us and say, well, I had this deal with somebody else, but they've let me down or they can't quite do what we wanted. Can you have a look at it? So I think where we're supporting brokers is by looking at the environment and going, okay, let's help, let's make sure we're consistent, make sure we always turn around and tell people what we're doing. Even if it's price changes, for instance, we're making sure we're communicating well.
And transparency. You mentioned swap rates earlier. How do you see the bank, or how has the Bank of England base rate affected how would you say it's affected the market at all?
Look, I think it's less about the Bank of England base rate. I think it's more about swap rates and the volatility of swap rates that's impacting us the most. The Bank of England base rate, is going to change every 6 weeks where it needs to be. We've been in this artificial low interest rate environment, so it needed to go up. There's no doubting about that. But I think where we found the most pain is when there's been sudden changes to the forecasting from swaps as to where the 5-year money, for instance, would be. So what we're finding at this moment in time is we're having to react to that from a lending perspective, because ultimately that's a borrowing base for a period of time. So it's again that forecasting. We're trying to look into the future and find out where we feel comfortable, where lending needs to be, where pricing needs to be, and where risk needs to be.
Okay, good stuff. So we were very lucky this year to scoop Best Service Excellence at the B&C Awards, as well as yourself winning Best Leader for the Bridging Lender category at the Biotele. So congratulations on that. What do you think wins like this mean for us as a company?
Look, I think wins are a testament to the business. When you're noted for service, and you have been for almost all of the life of this business, we have to welcome awards and notoriety from that perspective with open arms. You can become complacent, but it's part of the DNA that's been built within this business. I was lucky enough to win the business leader at the BSLAs, but that's a testament to the people we have within the business, and also the DNA of the business that runs true within what we do and how we conduct ourselves. We're very thankful for that.
And moving on to something slightly different, again, you mentioned swap rates earlier. We have currently got a soft launch on our Biotele product, which has been an interesting time. What can brokers expect to see from that once it's released to the whole of market?
Look, I think the key thing from our perspective, when we move into different silos of lending, whether it be when we moved into the regulated bridging side a couple of years ago, or now our move into Biotele, the one thing we want to do is offer our take on that marketplace and offer our DNA into that marketplace. And we spoke about service previously. Exceptional service is what we pride ourselves on, and trying to deliver the best service. I think when we moved into the regulated bridging space, it was very similar to this environment, where we felt that there was a need for better service, a bit more joined up, not just turning around and saying an SLA of 12 days is acceptable, trying our utmost to navigate a marketplace and be as easy to deal with and as fluid as possible. We've got underwriters that we're tasking to find ways of actually writing loans, not finding ways of turning down loans. So they're very much a case of when a deal hits your desk, find a way to lend, provided it's suitable from a risk perspective. We've got some nuances to our criteria, which we feel that are subtle, but subtle enough that will offer an option and a solution to our brokers and their customers.
Well, I look forward to seeing more about it. And finally, something I always ask the guests, how would you describe M2 Finance in 3 words?
I think flexible. Every inquiry that comes across our desk is an opportunity to help support the broker and get a transaction lent upon. So we provide a huge amount of flexibility when it comes to that. Consistency, always being there to support the brokers is a consistent thing. Always having a good product that covers a wide breadth of transactional needs is a consistent thing. I think open as well. That's not only open for business and being there to support the broker from that perspective, but I think open to tell brokers and the community what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what are the impacts, fronting up the decisions we make. Absolutely.
So that's it from us today. Thank you very much, Gareth, for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you here. And if any of you brokers have any questions on anything from today, please feel free to give us a shout.